Right, so good afternoon. Okay, why do they know face-to-face students? Is everyone join online class? Is the rest coming? All right. Okay, so let us continue. Um, we already, I already introduced some of the video processing during the last lecture. So now let us continue. So again, we have a conversion from analog to digital video. Is because the data that we mine or acquire from, or the data acquired from the natural scene would be analog. This is same applicable to audio and also video. So that is why in order for us to process this we have to convert to digital data. Okay, so in terms of audio, we will perform sampling and quantization, whereby sampling is performed at the uh, uh, time domain, or it is usually in your y-axis, and quantization is on the y-axis. Okay, so in video processing, because video is actually a series of static images arranged in a correct sequence to form a actually let human being perceive it as a continuous flow of a smooth motion. So in video processing, we actually call the static images as frame. Okay, so it depends on how many frame being input to 1 second. If let's say 1 second you have 30 static images, so which means we call this as 30 FPS. Okay, so on and so forth. So this is just an example whereby you have in 1 second, you have either, depends on how many frame you have. So this is 1 second. So for this one, which means is 24 FPS. And for this one is 6 FPS. The interval between the frame will be the same. Okay, it is actually to break out, it is actually sort of sampling. Just that in video processing, we are not extract something, but we put in something. For example, if let's say I want to put in 10 images, so you would put in 10 images with a fixed interval within 1 second. So that is the difference between audio and also video processing. So most cameras are able to capture a frame rate up to 30 FPS, but it's not necessary to use all the FPS. For example, you have a four-wheel car, but not a must. Every time you go out driving that car, you have to fetch all those people. Accommodate all the seats. Okay, so this is the capability of most of the camera or any video acquisitions instrument. Okay, so because the reason is the same. Why we don't want to take up. Try our best to take the trade off between the quality and the storage. Is that we have fixed bandwidth, or I should put it as we have a limited bandwidth lah, and also the limited storage. So that is the reason why we don't. We of course you have higher FPS. For sure you have a smoother motion, but nonetheless, eventually human eye is not that sensitive when you have 30 FPS should be okay, maybe 60 already HD. But if you let's say go up to 100 and maybe 200 and 300, it is considered as redundancy because I mean, as a human, we cannot perceive that sensitive level. So even though you put in those, I mean, more and more FPS, human eye cannot perceive it. So that those kind of information would be seen as redundancy. The theory is actually the same as the frequency masking and also temporal masking, because even though all these frequency presence in your data or your audio file, it is not being perceived and being ignored by human. So this kind of data is will be seen as redundancy. Okay, important aspect to determine the video quality: frame rate, which is the FPS, and the motion blur. So when a film is recorded at 25 FPS, each frame has an exposure time of 40 milliseconds. Basically 1 divided by 25, okay, which is the time taken, I mean, the time allocated for each of the frame. So when the frame rate is of the movie is too slow, human mind will no longer be convinced that the content of the movie are continuous and the movie will appear to be jump. Okay, it's because the motions from the first and the adjacent frame, there is sort of gap over there. So human eye can capture all this gap and then we'll see the image like laggy image and jump from one motion to another motion. So video data rate are given in bit per second. So resolutions multiplied by pixel depth and also frame rate. So this is an example. Just use these equations. We'll do a very simple. Try to calculate the bit rate of an uncompressed DVD video with 720 and multiplied by 576 pixel of the DVD video resolution 23 bits per pixel. Yeah, everything is given. Just multiply everything will do. All right. So bitrate is the resolutions. Resolution will be always in what multiplied by what. Okay. Yeah. This is the normal resolution, which is your horizontal and vertical axis. Is applicable to image and also to video. Okay. So calculate the bitrate of an uncompressed DVD. So put in your resolution, your pixel depth, and also the frame rate. So 720 just multiply everything lah. So you will get this value and divide by just convert it to mega lah. Okay, move by 6 decimal place. Okay, that's all. Make sure you put in your SI unit or the SI unit correct lah. Okay, if let's say you only give me this one without the megabit per second so basically I won't give you marks okay. So example two, what are the factors that can affect the data rate? So this would be the factor lah, not calculations. Actually, this one can be retrieved from the formula lah. Okay, so what are the factors that can affect the data rate? The frame rate, the bit per second, which is the bit depth and resolution, and also video compression technique. So these three would be inside the formula of bit rate. But for this one, it depends. Okay, because different video compression technique would have different compression ratio. So if let's say, for example, I'm using algorithm A, you have a better compression. Algorithm B with no compression, for sure algorithm A would affect the bit rate. I mean the data rate by lower the data rate. Okay, so this is the four items or the four factors that could affect the data rate of a video. So CRT TV, CRT monitor, and also media device. CRT is referring to carbon ray tube. I think for now it's quite rare for you to um, have this kind of TV or monitor. Okay, maybe in again in those vintage cafe you will find some okay, but before those monitor, which is those using the MOLED monitor, we are actually using this kind of monitor. Okay, and this as well. So why this monitor and TV is very big. It is something like the side view would be something like this one. Okay, this I mean the most of the compartment is being occupied by this the CRT, the carbon ray tube. Okay, so the carbon ray tube is actually core the core of this. I mean, to display the color to display the color, to display uh, the color, the motion, and etc. in your monitor and also the TV screen. Okay, it is actually the mixture lah. You have RGB right, and each of that you what 256. So each layer you have 256 different color. So multiply you have around 60 million. Okay, you have around 60 million of color combinations. So basically, in this CRT, it is actually produce the electron, and this electron is from different RG and B, and the overlapping of this uh, RG and B electron at different level will result in different color. Okay, so the idea here is actually the same as how idea how you actually produce different color using RGB three different layer. Okay, beam of electron are sent from the cathode or anode setup. Directed beam sweep the screen many times per second. This swept the screen by many times, which means you know you can actually imagine like it is flashing on the screen. So different flashing on the screen, it will produce different combinations and also different combination of color. So when different combination of color is being direct to the screen, you would able to see a continuous motion. Of course, the beam is being swept on the screen is very fast. It depends on your FPS. If let's say you have 30 FPS or maybe 25 FPS, which means each flash will cost around 40 milliseconds or something like that. Okay, our eye is not able to capture that fast motion. So that is why you would found that uh, when you capture sometimes when the especially when this CRT is spoiled, you will find that the screen is flipping, flashing black and white. Of course nowadays because this is for CRT method lah. For nowadays the all those LED monitor and etc. they would have their own issue. But for CRT you will able to see the maybe some line moving from up to down, one line moving from up to down, keep on moving like that. That is because the progressive and also the progressive scanning issue, okay? And also you would able to see the flashing of the screen, black and white in a sudden, and then continue become normal. Those issue is arise from the CRT actually, because the beam is not directed to the screen uh, as the normal rate. For example, you have 30 FPS, but then suddenly after 20 FPS, some frame missing. So that is why you will see black flashing or white flashing, depends on the artifacts. Okay. So each dot on the screen, one of three types of phosphor chemical that emit red, green, and blue light when hit with an electron. This combination make any possible color. So basically, it is a combination of the phosphor. Okay, this phosphor will emit different color, and this combination of different color at different level. For example, 256 multiplied by 256 multiplied by 256. All of these RG and B at different. I mean, combine at a different level, you will see different color. So the idea is exactly the same how RGB is being displayed on your screen at the moment. Okay. So analog TV system of today use raster scan for videos capture and display. Two way of displaying video on screen, which is interlace scan and progressive scan. I believe you all are, know at least some brief information regarding interlace and progressive because you already done the lab manual. Okay, so interlace scanning. For an interlace scan, each frame is scanned in two fields. So you have two fields. This field is, left and right. And each field contains half the number lines in a frame. Interlace scanning writes every second line of the picture during a scanning and write another half during the next sweep. So which means you skip line by line. So for example, you for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for example, something like this. So the first line will scan 1 and then followed by 3 and then followed by 5. And then the second field would scan starting from 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on and so forth. So after that, you will have two different uh, frame. And this frame, not really frame because they're combined to become one frame. I would say two different composition, but these two different composition uh, mix up to form one frame. Okay, so which means this one only have uh, images in line, maybe line 1, 3, 5, 7, and so on. And the second one you have 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on and so forth. So you would have something like this one, something like this one. Okay, you know, this is the first line, and then this is the second line. Odd and even, and then later on combine to become the full frame. Okay, so this is how the interlace is being done. So this is the field that I mentioned just now. You can imagine you have one full frame, and then in each frame you start from field one and field two. You start from here and follow this line back to here and follow this line, scanning here back to here and continue scan back to here. Okay, and the second one would be starting from the middle part, scan to this layer, back to here and scan to another layer. That is why you have so-called the odd and even, odd and even line. Okay, you can see field one as the odd line, field two as the even line. So in the lay scan render image in vertical line, breaking down the picture into individual column and then display every other line at a very high rate, which is around this one. Odd number line get paint on the screen first and then even line later on. So you have your odd line first, which is 1, 3, 5, 6, and so on, and then even line 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. So while this is incredibly fast and impossible for human eye to detect, it can create a ghostly flickering effect on TV, on live TV broadcast, typically live sporting event. So this is the flickering effect that I mentioned just now. Like especially for a very fast motion. Last time we like to watch the F1. I think I'm not sure now. It still got uh, F1 live. Actually, I'm not sure what to watch. I only can hear the sound, and basically I cannot see anything lah. Okay, but yeah, maybe the meter of the driver lah. Okay, but actually I don't see anything lah. Yeah. So last time, especially for those kind of uh high speed sport or those any movie drama that involve a very fast motion of any object or character in the video. So for those, because the motion is too fast, so it's sometimes the CRT unable to capture the motion. So it would show so sort of ghostly flickering, like a shadow, some shadow blink or pass or step through the screen. So this is normal for CRT. But for now, using LED would be quite minimum. Okay, would be quite minimum. This kind of effect. So interlace scan was introduced for analog TV, both as a form of data compression and also because of the OCRT cathode ray tube. TV in the past couldn't physically scan screens fast enough for a progressive picture. basically the basically the CRT is for normal display is okay lah. If you have very HD, it cannot be HD. When you want display fast motion, it cannot display fast motion. But that is the you know those years. This is the only device or only technology we have lah. Okay, so that is why I think CRT been dominate the monopoly. I would say monopoly the monopoly the this technology has been monopoly for few decades, right? Maybe about 3 to 4 decades, perhaps. So field containing the first line and the following alternating line in the frame is called the top field, and the field containing the second line and the following alternating line is bottom field. So you have top field and bottom field here, which is this is referring to odd line 1, 3, 5, 7, and so on and so forth. This is even line 2, 4, 6, so on and so forth. Okay, so you have top field, bottom field, top field, bottom field. So these two is contribute to one frame, and these two is contribute to another frame. So this is interlace scanning, whereby you in order to have one complete frame, you have top field and also the bottom field, and then both of these combine together to form one frame. Okay, so it is not one frame and then second frame, third frame, fourth frame, not but these two are for one frame, this two for another frame. So this is the example whereby you have your top frame here, bottom frame here. This is start with odd number, and this is start with even number, and then both of these combine to become one complete frame. Okay, so 60 field per second. Yeah, 60 field per second, which means you have 30 frame. Okay. So a fresh rate of at least 50 hertz or 50 FPS is required in order for us to perceive the smooth motion of video. So which means if you have an FPS which is lower than 50, you might see a jetty, I mean a jumping motions, okay, or also called we call a lag phenomenon over there. But if you have increased to 60, so that is why the for HD TV or HD camera, no, HD TV or HD monitor, so you should have 60 FPS. So which means you have another 10. So you're able to, um, you know, uh, you would able to see that the motion is much more smoother, the texture is much more finer, and etc. That is because you have more and more data to describe the fine texture and etc. But nonetheless, for 60 FPS, you should have higher resolutions, and also you should have greater data rate. Okay. However, it is not feasible to apply 50 FPS in analog TV. Thus, interlace scan was introduced to solve this problem. This idea of splitting up the image into two parts known as interlacing and the split up uh, image as field. So this procedure is known as interlacing, and you have one frame break into two field. Okay, top field and also bottom field. Graphical scene a field, but basically it's a picture with every second line black or white. Okay, so this is the top field, this is the bottom field. Actually, you can observe from here. Okay, this is the starting line, one, and then two, and then three, four, and then so on and so forth. Okay, you can look at that part, and at the bottom here also shows that the last one is end by the bottom line. Okay, so you can actually by observing the line, you can actually know this is top or bottom field. And then both of these field combined together, you would have a clearer image. Progressive scanning, this is another type which is progressive. For a progressive scan, the electronics or optics beams of an analog video camera continuously scan the image region from the top to bottom and then back to top. So this is only one view, top to bottom and then back to here. The resulting signal consists of a series of frames separated by a regular frame interval. Whenever you see this, I think this is called delta T, right? Okay, this is referring the gap between something else. Okay, gap between something else. So no matter what lah, but delta is referring the gap lah. Okay, and each frame consists of the consecutive set of horizontal lines, scan line, separated by a regular vertical spacing. each scan line is slightly tilted. Okay, so this is the difference. Again, it is start at the center, but then scan to this point and then pull it up to here and then continue scanning, put it up to here and continue scanning. Okay, this has been included in your lab. So I think you all quite familiar with this. Okay, so the action pull from the right hand side to the left hand side is called horizontal retracer, which means you retrace this point to your left hand side so that you can continue to scan 45-degree downwards and then horizontal retrace back to this line and continue to scan until you get to this point. Okay, so this is so-called tilted, which means you know it is not directly at the position at the bottom, but it stop over here and then again back to this point. Okay, so horizontal retrace, the return to the left of the screen after refreshing each scan line. Okay, this is actually to pull the scan line back to the left hand side, back to left hand side, pulling to the left hand side after scan to your right hand side. So vertical retrace, at the end of each frame, the electron beam returns to the top left corner of the screen to begin the next frame. So this is the horizontal retracer. Basically, retrace it means that you um, pull something else back to original point. Okay, horizontal is that you pull from right to left hand side, and vertical is from bottom to top. So camera capture a video sequence by sampling in both temporal and vertical direction. Usually temporal is horizontal, I mean in terms of x-axis lah. Okay, and vertical direction scanning upward. Resulting signal is stored in a continuous one-dimension waveform used in normal computer monitor. Okay, so basically this application will be in normal computer monitor. Any questions so far regarding interlace and progressive? Okay, so for this part is mostly analog uh, different system or I should say different standard. Okay, because in different country, I wouldn't say country, but region. For example, Asia region, Southeast Asia, maybe Europe, maybe different region. So this different region, we have different standard. So I mean, very seldom like a country have an isolated standard with the rest. Very, very rare. We usually share a common standard across the big region. That is because sometimes mostly it's because we have a common resource. For example, one satellite shared by several countries, or maybe several countries fund for one satellite, something like that. Of course, you have the principal funder and also the sub funder. Okay, nonetheless, all these satellite are being shoot to the space is I mean, of course, we share between each other, and also some people are renting these from whichever whatever country, something like that. So usually when you are using something shared out, especially in terms of satellite, so we have a common standard. So NTSC would be the National Television System Committee. PAL phase alternating line, SECAM system electronic controller AV. I also don't know how to pronounce. Okay, so NTSC used in North America and some part of Asia, including Taiwan and Japan. Okay, so PL, these all are different standard lah. Okay, three different standard for color TV system. It is mainly for color TV system. And PAL, invented by Germany scientists, used in most of the Western Europe and Asia, including China, Malaysia, Middle East. SECAM, invented by the France, used in former Soviet Union, Eastern Europe, France, and Middle East. So this is the distributions of different system for color TV using. So as you can see, PAL and also SECAM is quite dominant. No lah, actually not really dominant because each and every region is very big okay. So all color TV use the 2-to-1 interlace scan mechanism. So NTSC system use a fill rate of 60 Hertz. At least you, of course, I already mentioned that you don't need to memorize all these system name, software name, and etc. But at least you have to know NTSC, SEM, and PL is actually sort of standard for color TV. Okay, when we mention NTSC, you don't correlate to image processing, audio processing. It's different things. Okay, of course you don't need to memorize, but at least you have to know lah. As I'm say, we don't memorize that human got two eyes, one nose, and one mouth, but you know, right? Something like that. Okay, it's quite weird if you don't know that human have two eyes, and actually I have to memorize something like that. Okay, so always remember NTSC, PL, and CCM is referring to the color system. I mean color TV system standard. So NTSC use a fill rate of 60 Hertz and line number of 525 line per frame. The PL and CCM system both use fill rate of 50 Hertz and a line of 625 per frame. This fill rate are chosen not to interfere with standard electric power system in the involved country. So which means you have 525 lines and in one frame. Okay, so this is referring to NTSC. So if you are in PAL and SCCM system, you have 625 instead. Okay, this is the system. So this data, let me see, TV frame rate. Okay, this is being fixed, which means, something like this one. This data is fixed data, just FYI. So NTSC have 525, PL and SCM have 625 each. Don't need to memorize this one, okay? Just for your information. NTSC use 525 scan line per frame, while PL and SCM use 625 scan line. At least you have to know what is scan line. And when I mention NTSC, you should able to know is it 525 is in, vertical lah, not horizontal ha. However, not all lines are displayed. Not all lines are displayed on the screen since some are used to carry control and other information. In practice, the number of visible line per frame for NTSC monitor is 480 and 576 for PL and SCM. Thus, the number of pixels per line is 640 for NTSC and 768 for PL and SCM. Because although you have, you have all those lines allocated. For example, you have a bag and you are going to school. Of course, you need to pack in your reference book and etc. But of course, it is not only reference book, right? Maybe you need to put in your pencil case, your water bottle and etc. Okay, something like that. Not all, even though it has 525 lines, but not all the lines are being used for the specific purposes. Okay. So we refer to the red color dot first, which is NTSC. So you have total NTSC, you have total 525 lines. Okay, but not all lines are being used. only display in screen you have 480, and another 45 lines is used to carry control and other information. And for PAL and SCCM, in total you have 625 lines. But when you display, you only display 576 lines. And another 49 lines are being used for carry control and other information. Okay, so this is the this is what it means. Um, yeah, is it clear? Is it clear? I mean, yeah, the main purpose here is just to let you all know, even though you have a full lines, which is 525 and also 625, not all lines are being displayed on your screen. Okay, just that part of it are being used to control, to carry some other information, which is the control and other blah 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 information. So aspect ratio is the ratio of screen width to the screen height. um i'm I'm not sure if you all know aspect ratio is one of one of the common morphological features. Aspect ratio is one of the common morphological features, uh, because when we talk about morphological features, you have many. For example, morphological is dealing with, recall back, should be in chapter 7. Morphological is dealing with the shape, the geometrical, uh, the solidity and etc. for the for an object. Okay, so aspect ratio is part of the morphological features, which means it is dealing or calculations based on the shape, the size, and etc. So for aspect ratio, you are actually calculating the ratio of the width and height. Okay, and you can actually calculate it this aspect ratio can actually affect or somewhat correlate with eccentricity, which means if let's say you have a major axis, which is double the minor axis, so you would expect your object is, cylinder in shape, or ellipse in shape. Okay, something like that. But let's say you have something like this one. Okay, so if you are calculating using MATLAB, the MATLAB would always get the major axis and the minor axis, starting at the center point. So by calculating the aspect ratio, okay. So for those that already play with the morphological features, you should know aspect ratio, okay. So aspect ratio of a current TV and conventional PC monitor are 4:3 or 16:9, with widescreen television and flat panel monitor. So this is the common, of course not a must for all. This is just the common. So digital video, there are many advantages of digital representation for video. It permits storing video on digital device or in memory, ready to be processed and integrated into various multimedia applications. Direct access, which make non-linear video editing simple, repeated recording without degradations of image quality, better tolerances and channel noise, better tolerance to channel noise. So basically, your analog video, you are going to, if let's say you want to process the video, of course you have to convert to digital, okay. But okay, so in digital TV, it is most usual to digitize the three RGB component signals separately prior to their transmission, which means you um, convert the value in R channel, convert the value in G channel and B channel, later on only transmit. Not that you transmit first and then convert together. Okay, because usually this will make the entire transmission become complicated. Okay, so, but the disadvantage of using RGB color space is that the same resolution in terms of sampling rate and bit per sample must be used for all three signals. Because because the RGB is always in the same. I would say it is the same package, okay. If let's say you want to transfer R channel in a specific bit rate, the G and B must be in specific bit rate. If not, you cannot have, for example, you cannot have your R channel is 200 times 200, and then later on your G channel is only 100 times 200, and B channel is 100 times 200 again. So this G and B is no longer tally or match with the R channel. So this is the reason why all the properties or all the setting in all this RG and B channel must be the same. If let's say you have the bit rate is maybe X bit rate, the G and B channel must be X bit rate as well. Okay, that is to ensure that later on after the transmission, you can combine together to form back the original. If let's say you have a minor changes in any of these channel, later on you may not able to combine back together. Okay, the usual color space for the TV, digital TV is YCBCR, as our human eye is more sensitive to luminance compared to chrominance. Thus, two chrominance signal can be tolerate a reduced resolution compared with luminance. So CB and CR is chrominance channel, and Y is luminance channel. Okay. So that is why in sampling, I think if not mistaken, I think in the JPEG we are actually doing this the same thing, the YCBCR, right? We convert to YCBCR, and then we only subsample the CB and CR. Why we subsample CB and CR is because, as I mentioned just now, if we not so, I mean, if the human eye is not so sensitive to the specific uh, portion of the data, we try to compress more for those kind of data. Okay, the same theory is being applied in audio processing as well. So since human eye is not so sensitive to CB and CR, so that is why we tend to compress CB and CR rather than Y, because Y is the luminance channel. But of course, you have to know Y is the luminance, CB/CR is the chrominance. So that is also the reason why we subsample CBCR but not Y. Okay, because try to recall back in JPEG compressions, we only partition the image in 8x8 blocks in Y channel. In CBCR, we directly subsampling it. Okay. Therefore, a significant reduction in bit rate, because all these three Y, CB, and CR are actually carrying the same portion of data. I mean, the size is the same. You can see this as RG and B channel, but RG and B channel, because I mean, as I mentioned just now here, RG and B channel must carry the same data rate. Okay, so you cannot subsample any of it, but remaining only one, because later all these RG and B must combine together to form an original image. Okay, so that is why since you cannot compress either of the images, I mean either of the channel, so RG and B is not so suitable to be used in the color TV, because in color TV we need to do the compression. So that is why we convert the RG and B to YCB and CR. Because CB and CR is all, because human eye is not so sensitive to CB and CR, we can actually compress this data. So we have only Y, the main channel, and CB, CR being sampling to load to significantly reduce the data size. So this is the reason. This is also the reason why we are using YCBCR instead of RGB when it comes to digital TV. So therefore, a significant since we compress two channel rather than one or no, so a significant reduction in bit rate, and also the transmission bandwidth can be achieved by using luminance and chrominance instead of RGB. A method called chroma subsampling can store color image at lower resolution than intensity information. I think we will learn the chroma subsampling in next chapter. Okay. In order for chroma subsampling to work and the data size of the image to be reduced, engineers figure out ways to share chroma information across a range of pixels while maintaining the different amount of luminance information for that same range of pixels. Um, but to be honest, chroma subsampling is not in between our syllabus. Because in JPEG compression we did mention about the subsampling, right? But we because subsampling it does have its own formula to convert the subsampling. It has a specific color code, for example, 3, 2, 1, something like that. But it is not in our syllabus. But you have to know what is chroma subsampling and why it is being applied on chroma. Okay. You don't really need to calculate, oh, how do you get this ratio? You don't really need to do so, but you have to know why we perform the subsampling in chrominance channel but not luminance channel. Okay, video compressions. Video compression is a common thought as being unique to digital, but it is also been around since the early year of analog. Compression has just become more sophisticated since then. In this article, we will take a look back at one earlier strategy in particular. Okay, this is one of the ratio in chroma subsampling. Okay, vision specialists has long known that our eye are much less sensitive to color resolution than we are to brightness resolution. This is also another empirical analysis whereby human eye is actually not so sensitive to color changes, but we are more sensitive to changes in terms of brightness. Okay, so that is why our eye, because our eye, our is it lens or what? Lens of retina. I forgot which part is it. So that is why in we can't really see when you walk into from a very bright area, you walk to a dark room, you can't really see. But later on, your eye can um, start to adapt to the dark room and able to see a bit. Of course, if the room is totally dark, you will see nothing lah. But if the light source is very low, but you are coming in from somewhere very bright, it's very difficult for you to see for the first few seconds. But later on, your eye can adapt to that specific environment. So human eye is actually much more sensitive towards the brightness. But if let's say the color, I mean the ambient light is very lower, the light source is very lower, we are unable to differentiate the color. Okay, we only able to see that, oh, this is sort of grayscale, or everything is in grayscale because the light intensity is very low. Okay, this is the reason, not really the reason, but this is the common uh, phenomenon that found in daily life, and it is the limitation of our human eye. Okay, so the vision specialists, after the empirical analysis, they found that human eye is much more sensitive towards brightness, but not the color resolution. But of course, if the brightness is, the ambient light, a suitable ambient light is being provided, or the brightness is maybe to some kind of level, so our human eye will be able to start differentiating this color is green, this color is blue and white, and etc. Okay. So a video signal would be separate into likeness or luma component and two other chroma, which is chrominance, similar to image to be separate into three: red, green, and blue. So in red, green, and blue, you have red channel, green channel, and blue channel. But why CBCI actually, you can't really say that R is to Y channel, G is to CR, and B is to CB. Not really true, but because it is in different dimensions, I would say different domain. Not really R is going to convert to Y, G is to CR, and B is to CB. And eventually, your red channel is not appear as red color as well. Your green channel is not appear as green channel as well. But it is actually in a grayscale. Because once you have the same index for all R, G, and B, for sure the image is in grayscale. Just that in this example, the color of the R channel is being uh, highlighted with red color, G channel is being highlighted with G channel, and B color is, this channel is being highlighted with blue color. That's all. I think you all already know because when you separate the channel, the color images to three different channel, and you use IM show to display the image, it's impossible to display in red color for R channel, green color for G channel, and blue color in B channel. Okay, so later on, we will combine this one, of course, with a some sort of algorithm and also calculations, you were able to convert to Y, CB, and CR. I think I think I think in previous chapter we do have formula to convert from RGB to YCBCR, but you need I think maybe in chapter 3 or 4 we can convert to RGB to YCBCR, just that you need to normalize the value first to the range of 0 to 1. Okay, so that's all for today. We will continue next Tuesday. Okay, before we end, any questions? Later on we have a tutorial, and if let's say I can foresee that we will finish the lecture early lah. Now it's week 10, right? We have 4 weeks to go, so we only have 2 chapters to go. Maybe next Tuesday or next Thursday we can finish, which is week 11. So the rest of it we will continue the tutorial lah. Okay, eventually in lecture hour we will continue the tutorial, and after we finish the tutorial we will go for revise. Okay, revisions. Okay, thank you. That's all for today. Nonetheless, the final examination will be face to face. Okay, because I think many are quite curious. But of course, take care yourself very well. Okay. Uh, yeah, I think this is a common question. Maybe after you take 1 or 2 paper and you get diagnosed with COVID, so the student will be given an I status, and you can take the paper in upcoming semester. But your status would be given ICE indicator, and then when you take the paper in the next coming semester, it is considered as first take lah. I mean, not the second time to take the exam lah. This is a good question. You mean the delay or what? Mm. No. This is the first attempt to take. I think so. If with a first scholarship, I think will be a big issue lah. I don't think so lah. I don't think so. Mm. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Let me confirm the query regarding the PTPTN and scholarship first, and I'll back to you lah. Okay. But nonetheless, so far to date until this moment, the stand of the UC is solid lah, to have the examination face to face, because uh, we are going to endemic in 1st of April. This is the announcement by the KKM. Okay, so I believe because we already been announced we will enter endemic in 1st of April. So it's not so, I mean, you don't have a strong justification said that we want final examination in online mode lah. Because this is the instruction from KKM, and all the university, no matter in IPTA or IPTS, is doing face to face. Okay, so I don't see there is a solid evidence for you all to justify this one. But of course, I think I will ask the higher management regarding the scholarship issue, especially. But for sure, when you take the examination in the next upcoming available exam time, it is the considered as first attempt, not receipt, not retake. Don't worry about this one. But I'm not really sure about the PDPN and also the scholarship. Let me get back to you later on. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. So my advice would be um, stay safe. Okay, try yourself to stay safe. Even eventually you can't really do anything to be frankly. Um, but yeah, I see some people are sharing the Google form to with student and etc. But I don't see any changes from UC level. Okay, so I will back to you regarding the scholarship and any other question. No one. Again, take care yourself very well. Mm, your exam. Have you all received your schedule? Okay, your exam will be end on for our MTA is in fifth of May, right? 5th of May. Then I'm not sure what is the last day of your examination, but please take care lah. Okay, and if in case you all, I understand sometimes I understand as well. I know of course it's my duty to ask you all if you really get diagnosed with COVID you have to report lah. Because you don't want your peers all gonna COVID, right? But nonetheless, I also understand your concern. Okay, because this is a final year exam. It is when you have cheating or any misconduct in final exam, that student can be sued to police station, can be in jail. So this involves many considerations. Of course, you can be moved. I'm not sure what is the decision of DECA because DECA would be the one who in charge in all this invigilation and etc. So what I can let you all know is the instruction from DECA, that's all. Because I cannot propose anything or my opinion because that doesn't represent DECA as well. So if you have such a, I understand your concern. I understand your concern. Um, yeah, I will try to reflect to the higher management. But for now, what you can do is focus on your exam and try to minimize any physical movement, going out and etc. Yeah, that's all lah. Okay. Yao Ting Long, first and last paper. Oh, which means last semester you failed this paper. Oh, 11. Okay, 11 May. First and last paper. Your paper is first paper. Okay, okay. Because our papers is in 5th of May, 2 p.m. Please do not miss the time. Some student eventually they thought is different weeks and end up no attend the examinations. Okay, please do not. I mean, I believe every batch, even though back to my time, my schoolmates or my classmates also the same. Malay girl. She forgot already the day got exam, and then later on because of that, she had to delay lah. So please uh you know remind your peers lah, okay, remind your friend so that everyone know lah. Even though this is a stupid mistake, but it is a common mistake I would say. Okay, your paper is first. Okay, so yeah, everyone fighting lah. Okay, this is the last last examination, and then you all will be graduate. We will have we have our faculty would have a resume writing and interview preparation talk on 17th of April. Okay, only 2 hours, 8 to 10 a.m. I will share you all later on. Okay, that is that recruitment company recruit quite a lot of people to multinational MNC like Intel, all those big company. So if you all, of course, all those big company mostly is located in Penang. Okay, if you are in Penang and at least lah, you interested to prepare your resume and etc., you can join in. Okay, uh, it's always good to gain experience in interview and also the and also writing your resume. Okay, because I saw a lot of crappy resume. Please try to write your resume better. I mean as good as possible. Of course, there is no formula lah, but at least there are several tips and tricks over there lah. If not, especially you send for those recruiter or the recruitment department, whenever they look into your resume, they will throw it away lah, because like 100 to 1,000 resume for them to review. Okay, thank you, and that's all. See you all later on 4:30. Okay.